Hi again, I'm Brandon from Black Dime Cabaret. First of all, just want to quickly thank everybody who's been watching these and leaving comments and likes and also subscribing to the channel. It's been really good to catch up with you all and just chat and hear your thoughts on all things Black Dime Cabaret and things that aren't really Black Dime Cabaret. We'll have a video coming out this Friday, or if you're watching this after Friday, then you've probably already seen it. But it's a video where Caitlin, the lead singer from the band, is answering or responding to a bunch of your comments and things from one of our Facebook posts. So really looking forward to that coming out. It's a really good video. She's a lot more interesting than I am, so I hope you will enjoy it. That's on this Friday. Earlier this week, we released the making of Black Dime Cabaret in the studio. If you haven't watched that video yet, please check that out. It's also on the channel. Today's video will be a follow-up to that, where I'm just going to sit down and talk about what it was actually like inside the studio, creating that song, and some of the things that we had to go through while doing it. So we recorded this entire album at Ginger Studios, which I believe now it's just called James Lloyd Wyatt. He has a nice little studio at the back of his house, so very easy for him to conduct his business. All he has to do is walk out the back. For us, it was a bit of a drive. The studio's in Northcote, so very far, as we're, not to dox ourselves, but we're a bit away from Northcote. It's a very expensive place. You might have seen, if you've seen the video, lots of gear, lots of very expensive gear. The whole studio itself is very well executed in terms of acoustics and treatment, and I'm sure a lot of maths and measurements went into the construction of it, because it sounds great, and I'm sure you can hear every dollar of it when you listen to our music, for better or for worse. Now, if you've listened to Black Dime Cabaret before, you'll know that our music is very chaotic. There's a lot going on, but I assure you there is some method behind the madness. We do not go into the studio blind. Before we entered, we had already constructed full demos of every song on the album, including Black Dime Cabaret. The demos, we haven't released them anywhere, I don't think. But if you, there's no point, because if you did hear them, they sound exactly the same as the final versions, just not as high quality. Although some could argue they sound pretty fine. There were conversations about whether we should just use the demos as the actual songs, because, obviously they don't sound as good as what we ended up with, but they sound decent. So we come into the studio with Black Dime Cabaret already mapped out. All of the brass is the same brass that we used in the demo. A lot of the synths and other things. A lot of the parts are just us replaying the parts. So when I step into the studio, my goal is not to change things. When I go into the studio, I've already experimented. I've already decided how I want things to sound. I've decided what the arrangement should be, and the others have chipped in as well. But as a whole, the song is where at least I'm happy with it. And I'd prefer not to be making crazy split-second decisions in the studio, especially if those decisions might make the song worse. And I think that's always at the front of my mind. Some things might sound cool in the moment, but a lot of the time, it's not necessarily right. Pat is definitely the most experimental of the band when it comes to working in the studio. A lot of the time it'll be him kind of making all these crazy weird sounds and layering different guitar parts, turning guitars into synths. And that's good. I have no problem with that. I'm happy for anyone to have fun with different sounds and seeing what they can get. Not for me though. If I looked back at everything on this album, I don't think there's anything that I added in the studio, anything significant. When I enter the studio, my mindset is, let's do this as quickly and as efficiently as possible, which I know it's not the most fun thing to do. I think for a lot of people, going to the studio is supposed to be this fun experience of magical creation, 5 people in a room together just experimenting with sounds and music. But for me, it's very boring. I don't want to do that. because I'm scared that it's gonna screw everything up. So I keep it very bland and business-like. Overall, I'm really happy with how this song turned out. We fixed a lot of problems that were in the original version of the song, the 2020 cut. You can actually, bit of a website plug here, if you go to blackdimecabaret.com, under the listen section, under Black Dime Cabaret, we have an entire list of voice memos, demos, the old 2020 cut of the song, and the current cut of the song. Among those, you can listen to the old version of Black Dime Cabaret, in which there are some cool things about it, and I know like Caitlin actually really likes the rhythm and the funkiness of everything, but I always felt that version lacked a lot of forward drive and a lot of just freedom and cabaret and theatre. The beat was very start-stop. I think what really makes this version work, and it's why the song is as iconic as it is now, is the brass and the bass line. Both of them working together, the sax, the trumpets. It's got like this jazz walking bass line, and the drums are just simple. Bum 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 bum. That was one of my ideas actually. Honestly, a lot of these were my ideas. I don't want to take credit for them, but the brass, I even like wrote a rough draft of the bass for Luke. I mean, he made it better, but I did sketch. And the drums as well, I'm pretty sure I actually did those too. But Joel played them, of course. It's one of my favourite songs to listen to on the album. It's short, which I love. It's got an incredible bridge where the sax comes in, and that's where Pat did a lot of experimentation too, in that bridge section. And I think it just makes it this awesome, psychedelic, dreamlike, trance-like section, like you're really being transported into the Black Dime Cabaret. I actually listened to this song on my home theater system like months ago for the first time, and when the bridge comes in, it's just so immersive. I find it to be one of the most immersive parts on the album, actually. Right at the beginning of the album, just this part that shifts everything and drags you through the cabaret with Celeste and the clown and all that. We had a session musician come in, sort of a session musician, half someone Pat works with. Her name was Marissa, and she came in actually on Clown, BDC, and Autumn, playing the piano parts, and that's the only thing that we don't play on those songs. Which is something that, like, this is totally aside from her playing, which I thought it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. And I felt the same with the other piano parts as well, that we handed off to another, like a session player. I just think it's unnecessary. Like, I think it was a decision that we didn't really think through properly, and that we were just a bit too hasty in coming to it. Sure, you can look back at some of the songs, they have more difficult parts, particularly Festival of Witches. Maybe that was beyond our skill level, maybe it wasn't. Like, to be perfectly honest, if we had practiced it, of course we would be able to play it. I don't think you have to be a good keyboard player or good piano player to become proficient enough at a song that can be edited. But Black Dime Cabaret in particular was a song where we should have played it ourselves. I think when you invite session players into a session onto an album, the song becomes a bit less special because, oh, we didn't play that part. That wasn't Black Dime Cabaret. It was someone who's not Black Dime Cabaret playing on our album. And for some bands, of course, for some genres, of course, that's like totally normal, like in pop. But for a prog band who, we're actually good at our instruments. Like, we can play other instruments. And for a band that's supposed to be very unique and, you know, technically proficient, to not play all of our own instruments and invite someone else onto it, it seems not great. And again, this is not a comment against those people who joined us. We're very grateful for them. They saved us time, for one, saved us effort, and it was great having them around. So that's just a comment that I feel in general when it comes to inviting other people to participate in the Black Dime Cabaret experience. All that aside, there isn't really anything on this album that I would change. Like, aside from that, very happy with it. I feel like people don't, like, I'm not sure what the reception is on this song. You know, people always bring up Man Without Morality, obviously, as a song they like. They always bring up Autumn, but nobody ever talks about Black Dime Cabaret. Which, if people don't talk about The Clown and the Election, I understand, because I think that's our weakest song. But I actually think Black Dime Cabaret is pretty good. But maybe it's just basic. Like, I don't know. I like listening to it. I hope if you haven't listened to it yet, you will go and check that out. Check out the making of video. Let me know what you think. Is it good? Is it boring? Does it suck? I would love to know whatever you think. I love to hear from everybody. So please leave a comment, give us a like if you like, or subscribe as well. I've actually kind of been a bit surprised with the fact that people are subscribing and liking and commenting. So keep up the good work on your end. And as long as you do that, we'll keep making videos. Stick around for Friday's video, which will be Caitlin. We might have some previews of that popping up on our social media. So also follow us on like Facebook and Instagram and all that. We have some more announcements coming up soon. Very exciting things going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I will chat to you soon.
What is it that you see at night? Strange fear.